Hello friends, I'm here at this site of the former Maine State Prison in Thomaston, Maine. It's now a big open field, but my family moved to this area in 1992 when I was 14, and I can remember the old brick prison when it was still active. In 2002, they moved all the inmates elsewhere, a lot of them to the prison in Warren, the next town over, and they simply tore down the prison. Now you can see there's soccer fields and trails and everything else. The old cemetery is right here though, in the very back. Now this prison was here over 100 years, from the late 1800s or the mid 1800s till 2002, so it'd been there a long time, and they used to just bury the inmates that died on prison grounds right here. So I will be posting a series of videos in the next week or so that I just made. And I'd never been here before today, but let me show you what this cemetery looks like. It's got this modern fence around it. A lot of the individuals that were buried here were actually reinterred at the prison cemetery in Warren, which I understand is not available to the public. But this one is, so I figured I'd walk this. Maybe someday I can get permission to walk the one in Warren, but this will work for now. And when you first walk in, it looks like there's no markers, but there actually is. The majority are these ground markers, so the body would be buried right behind it. And I think I remember reading that they put in these markers in 2002 when they tore down the old prison, which I think is a great idea, to memorialize these folks forever. And there's some really interesting stories, so I tried to make as many individual videos as I could. There are axe murderers here. There are young men that made mistakes and passed away from illnesses. Tuberculosis was the major cause of death for some of these prisoners. The last execution done in Maine is buried here, actually. That field used to have gallows on it up till 1885, when the death penalty was abolished in Maine. So many men were actually hung in that field, just telling history like it is. This stone actually says unknown, so even the unknown body that's buried here got a marker. Prison records must have indicated that somebody was buried here. But most of them do have names and stories. Some don't have stories, but they're on Find a Grave and it'll list their date of death. Not much else, although we could probably figure it out from prison censuses. This is Lawler, alias, died July 21, 1896. So I think they did a pretty good job of memorializing them the best that they could. This is actually Daniel Wilkinson. I do have a separate video on him, but that was the last execution done in Maine. He was from London, England. You can see his prisoner number only on there, no name. 26951 was his prison number. Died 1885. We do have a couple other ones walking up the hill. I think there's about 36 people still buried here. This great big boulder has a plaque on it. It says, "In memory of those interred in this plot." Nice little memorial to the men who are buried here. Regardless of their background or past, history still deserves to remember them. This is a marker. It's the only one of its kind in the cemetery. It actually reminds me of the old 1800s, early 1800s graves, a field stone with etching on it, but it just says T. Hill, 1880. So I'm curious as to who T. Hill was. He obviously died in 1880, and I don't know if this is meant as a separate stone or his footstone. I imagine it's likely his footstone, because this is about 5 feet, etc. So that would be about the size of a man to bury. So I think that's probably his footstone and headstone. And most of these men were buried in the late 1800s. He was buried 1880, so he may be one of the first burials here. But I think this is a super cool piece of Maine history right here. A lot of these men actually came from foreign countries. We have at least an Italian, a German, and a Cuban person buried here, and probably others as well. But a lot of these folks came from southern Maine, some came from the Bangor area. But expect to see a number of videos from the cemetery in the next week or so. I think this is a really, really cool find. And just look at the view. We come to the end of this path. We're overlooking the river, train tracks. This is quintessential classic Maine right here. Looks like something right out of a Stephen King novel or movie.